Drop Bears up against Order, our first to four grand final here at Overwatch Contenders Australia. The organisation known as the Sydney Drop Bears has won both of the previous two Contenders finals here in the region. Order looking to be the first team to take them down. Jordan, what are we thinking?
It looks to me like Sydney Drop Bears starting on the defense are once again going to be running. Oh, they're starting on the attack actually. Okay, I was going to be wondering whether we were going to see that, Anna. It was an outside chance, and unfortunately we won't. But again, the Doomfist, that's the one that I wanted to reiterate. They're starting on attack, they're running the Doomfist again. Nothing's changed here for Sydney Drop Bears. They're going to stick to the plan, and we saw that didn't work against Order on Hollywood.
And it didn't work really against Heist in this exact same scenario. We saw that when CKM was there on the Doomfist up against Bus, really was struggling for one reason or another, and it just didn't seem to work. And I don't know why that was. For me, the interesting thing here, Jordan, is the fact that they're continuing to pick it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess we saw it to an extent against Heist, but it did seem as though Sydney Drop Bears were also happy to just default back to a regular GOATS composition. I got to think at this point, now that we've seen two maps of the same sort of scenarios, Sydney Drop Bears are not confident in their GOATS v GOATS matchup against Order. And that is a storyline that has been transcending throughout the Overwatch community for the last week or couple of weeks, where everyone's been sort of summarizing that Order actually has a stronger GOATS composition than Sydney Drop Bears does. And if that is the case, given the way that we know the meta is right now, that's a big leg up for Order, sorry. And Sydney Drop Bears haven't really found a way to deal with it. Again, it's 1-1. It's too early to call how this series is going to go, but my general feeling is that Order actually are looking like the better team.
They need to find something here, the Drop Bears, I think, to get perhaps that confidence back just a little bit. Bertlog going to get caught out this time around by Jordation. CKM pushing back through, doing a bit of damage, but it's not going to be enough. The Drop Bears going to hold back and wait, of course, for that spawn to come back through for their Lucio. Jordation already up to 56%, Quat's up to 70, Merit up to 65, but it's CKM right now who's the first player to get close to their ultimate.
Oh. Couple of binks in there. I think that might have been Husk copying the brunt of that, but it's not going to be too big of a deal. Sydney Drop Bears coming in. Here comes CKM with the Meteor Strike.
Looking for some picks. The Transcendent's going to be used almost immediately as well by Merit. Should be enough. Chrono Dota will go down. The Drop Bears losing their Reinhardt, and again, going to be forced back by a very aggressive Order.
Yeah, Sydney Drop Bears just looking... No, I don't want to say lost because they're not lost, but it seems like it's staring down the barrel of a defeat even after those first couple of fights. You know, it's only 2 fights, but Order, given their strength on the defense on Hollywood and now what we're seeing so far, it just looks so clean and so consistent from Order. Already we've seen that swap forced as well as CKM does go now onto the May.
Well, there you go. We said, are we actually going to see it? The answer is yes. This is very interesting to me to see this come out so very early. And, well, Chrono Dota is going to get caught out there by Adam. Unfortunately, this push not going to be the successful one for the Drop Bears. Order looking very good once again.
The beauty of this is that you heard IQD say during the interview, if CKM plays May, we are going to win. And now he's on May. We get to see whether or not there is going to be any truth to those words. It certainly seems like, I think this is a desperation swap really from Sydney Drop Bears. You don't swap off the Doomfist, the hero that you really want to be playing unless it's not working. And to swap onto a May after never playing it throughout the entire season, I'm questioning this for Sydney Drop Bears. Not that it's a poor strategy, but I just don't think this is in the wheelhouse.
It's going to be tough for sure. Quat's going to go down finally to Chrono Dota. Order loses 2. This is the Drop Bears' time to shine. Merit found out as well. Onto the point, 1 minute 20 on the clock. They will be successful on this first objective. They'll get another 4 minutes on the clock heading into objective B. If they can follow through with a bit of time here, Jordan, maybe they'll find themselves in a nice position. It doesn't help when they lose Chrono straight up, though. He'll be back, though.
I mean, that fight was really over before it began. The May wall was really nice from CKM. It isolated Quats. There was nothing that Order could do.
It isolated.
And you can see why Order have chosen not to invest anything in that fight. The Shatter didn't come down and didn't have an opportunity to. For Merit and Unto, smart to hold on to the 2 supporter ultimates there as well because the fight was already gone. And they can at least use them to hold on to this second point onto point B. Sydney Drop Bears did have to throw a lot in there though, so there's still a pretty good chance that Order actually holds off. It's not like Sydney Drop Bears are just going to steamroll onto this point.
Again, that wall comes out. Merit was on the wrong side. He's going to get booped off as well. The rest of the team will follow. They push on down. Chrono Dota, unfortunately for the Drop Bears, picked up, but Order looking okay. What have they used? The Transcendence. That's all we can see. So everything else here is a bonus for them. They're going to start building up that self-destruct. start building up Transcendence once again. On the flip side, the Drop Bears, they're going to have a little bit, but perhaps not enough.
Yeah, Blizzard available for Sydney Drop Bears. I don't know how big of a concern that really is going to be for Order. I mean, Adam, he'll be ready to eat it. It's one of the easier ultimates to eat, certainly easier than a grab. So if he can eat the grabs, he can definitely eat the Blizzard. But when you look at what Order have got to deal with it, you know, they have got the Sound Barrier, they've got Rally as well, which is going to buff up the HP. The Xayah Bubbles to get you out of the Blizzard. I don't think it's a huge concern right now for Order.
Looking for the plays. Are we going to see CKM come out with the Blizzard to do some work? There we go, throws it out. Looks to be going. Self-destruct comes through. Who are we going to find? The answer is no one. Trance has been popped and Sound Barrier as well. So for now, everyone's still alive. Huss does have that grab now available. Throws it out. Actually not a bad grab at all. The question is, can they follow up with damage? Quats has gone down to Huss. Chrono Dota has that... has the ultimate available as well. We'll see whether the Earthshatter comes through. That's not half bad. They need to follow it up. Merit's going to go down. A lot of picks coming out in the favor of the Drop Bears. Jordation going to be jumping onto the point. You can see they are doing what they can. The trickle in full effect. There's 1/3 looking to make it 2.
Yeah, Merit just not able to get the ultimate up in time. He was 3% of the way away. Here comes the Trance now. Yuki going to be jumping out, getting some healing from that. Grab now down, but no kill coming across it, and that's exactly what Order needs. They need kills right now, and they're just not being able to find them.
Nice little shield coming out as well for the Drop Bears. They find Yuki. A Kraken pops the Trance. There's 2. Looking to make it 3. 2:30 on the clock. The Drop Bears in pretty good position right now. Graviton Surge going to eliminate one of the entry points. It's now just Unta. Unta will go down, and here we go. The Drop Bears successfully complete Hanamura, at least on attack. And well, the swap was made from the Doomfist to the May, and it actually seemed to work.
It definitely did work. I may have spoken too soon. CKM, I think, actually had a lot more impact on the May than he did on the Doomfist. And to be honest, it's not necessarily like, okay, the Blizzard or May being able to freeze someone up individually or anything like that. It's the walls that are really being the difference here between the win and the loss right now for Sydney Drop Bears. When they're able to isolate Quats, when they're able to get that kill onto the main tank of Order, that's where they sort of capitulate and that's where they fall apart. So CKM, he had a really good performance there on the May. Looks like we're defaulting back to standard Winston Goats now for the defense for Sydney Drop Bears. And once again for Order, well, we're just going to see the same old. It's going to be the Reinhardt Goats once again.
Yeah,
but
seems to be working for them most of the time, at least.
We heard Order say they're a little bit more comfortable maybe on the defense than on the attack. And to be fair, actually, with 2 minutes and 28 seconds left on the clock, Sydney Drop Bears, that's a pretty respectable attacking time on Hanamura.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a question mark above this one now for Order. They'll need to post their own strong attacking side and get us into the overtime at fairly even Stevens to the situation. And that's when we can really start to deconstruct how this map is going to go. For now, it's actually, I think, sort of leaning a little bit towards Sydney Drop Bears.
Yeah, and the thing for me, Jordan, was that the 2 times that the Drop Bears were successful on attack here, it's not even like they came in with some sort of huge advantage either. They just managed to claw their way through, find the picks that mattered, and in the end, they managed to get through and capture the point. It wasn't that they'd saved up all their ultimates and just pushed through at the right time.
Yeah, Yuki once again going to look at the Sonic Arrow. They've spotted out the Winston now, so they at least know that much, and that's going to kind of give away the game. You're not really going to be running a Winston at this point, I don't think, without any standard kind of a Goats behind it. So Sydney Drop Bears, their plan has been found out.
No Bastion in this particular defensive lineup, that is for sure. The Drop Bears here on defense, and what can Order do now on attack? Looking to find that first pick. Quat's quite low. Is he going to get caught out? Ever closer. One bar stays alive. Nice work. That's precisely what the team needs to do. Shoyo actually the first one here, going to get D-mech there by Yuki. That is not the start the Drop Bears wanted, but for Order, that is prime positioning. Looking to follow it up with just one more. Jordation doing a pretty good job. Order finding the kills. The Trance is popped as well. And now Order will secure themselves Objective A.
The Trance probably a little bit unnecessary. I think Merit will be kicking himself after that one, but Yuki with 2 really clutch armor packs in that fight. The first onto Merit at the very start when they're running through the gates does keep Merit alive when he was down onto a one-shot, and then the second onto Quats. The armor pack so impactful actually in the Goats composition because it is really the only burst healing that you're going to get out. So you can bait players in with the armor pack goes down, players back up to more or less full HP or half HP or whoever. It depends on what you're you're healing up. But it is a big impactful ability in this composition.
Order coming through with a lot of ultimates to work with. The drop bears should be getting there shortly, but can Order push through before it matters? A Kraken with Transcendence available. When is he going to use it? Well, maybe not now if Order's dropped down, unfortunately for them, onto the low ground. Chrono Dota sitting up nice and high. He's going to have his ultimate available in just a second. That Primal Rage could be very impactful. Not going to throw it out straight away. Urshatter comes through. There we go. Primal Rage is popped. You can see Order doing what they can, but the drop bears throwing quite a lot into this. Still that hole-in-one available now for Order. They haven't lost anyone yet.
Oh no, what on earth is that?
To literally the wrong place. It doesn't get eaten, but it doesn't do much either. Chrono will go down, but Order need to follow this up with more quicker kills if they want to try and secure the point. They're staying alive for now. Chrono's going to swap across from the Winston into the Wrecking Ball. He'll be out in quick amount of time as well. Quats finds one. Order still doing so much here. They've stayed alive for a very long time, but it means nothing if they don't even find anything.
Got both of the supports. Show you on the ground there as well. And now it's starting to favor Order a little bit more. CKM gets pushed away. Bertlog, he'll drop shortly as well, down to half HP. Baby Diva trying to chase him down. Chrono will try and charge up the mines here. There's a grab out as well from Sydney Drop Bears.
Order need to find a lot from this. They have invested so much time into this fight. Still, to be fair, 5 minutes on the clock. They get to 46.9%, but that is where the attack stops.
And the one thing I think that really is important about that fight is the ripple effect from Merit using the Transcendence earlier on point A means that Order goes into that fight with only one defensive support ultimate. Sydney Drop Bears has both of theirs, and Sydney Drop Bears are able to outlast them in the end just a little bit longer. Right now, though, we're back to fairly even sort of a kill touch. Jordation's charged up another grab. Huss still at 24%. This is looking pretty good, actually, for Order.
This grab, not great, but not as bad as before. They will find Bertlog, though. They'll take that, I suppose, but they need to continue in a similar fashion. You can see the mines now available for Chrono as well.
Oh!
And Shoyo's actually found two big picks. Is that going to be enough?
Yeah, I think it is. With these mines going down, Quats and Yuki have traded out a couple as well, however. But with that said, Sydney Drop Bears, they just have enough numbers on the board here, and Order losing 2 players to that self-destruct, that really shuts down their team fight straight away. They back away. I mean, Shoyo coming up clutch there, because that really did, again, look like Order was going to find the finish there and then. Still 4 minutes on the clock for Order here.
There is a ton of time. It's hard to imagine just how much time Order had on the clock heading into the second objective. Adam in prime position for a big self-destruct here, Jordans. You can see Order going to drop onto the point for now. They have some good positioning. They have ultimates. Good work with self-destruct goes through, looking to find the picks. Not going to happen. Everyone with shield. Trance is also available. Chrono going to be the target for now. He's swinging around his hammer. Yuki going to get found out. He does get booped off the side, but I don't think it will make a difference. Order have to fall back.
Another little micro mistake out there from Order. Both of the supports using their ultimate at the same time, so doubling down when it's not really necessary. Sydney Drop Bears, they did use their sound barrier, but our Kraken is still holding on to the Trance. So just another piece of the puzzle, I think, that's missing there for Order. Again, the pressure may be getting to them here. We may be seeing a similar thing to what we saw toward point C of Hollywood, where the going really gets tough. Order just starting to crack a little bit.
Yeah, they do seem to struggle under pressure, and we saw that, of course, on Ilios. RQT did say, look, it's not their best map. They didn't expect necessarily to win, but they probably should have, to be perfectly honest. And look, if it gets very close a little bit later on, they're going to wish they managed to get that one. Order going to now try and push back onto the point. Yes, Sleep Dart going to come out there from Bertlog, looking to follow this one up with some kind of pick, however. Order onto the point, grab going to be used. Self-destruct comes through as well. This could be big. Not going to find any kills there, but it's Yuki who goes down first. Shogo back up now onto the point. Quats found out, down to 227. What started out as an absolute mountain of time, Jordan, now is very quickly ticking away.
Yeah, what was potentially going to be an advantageous situation for Order is now advantageous for Sydney Drop Bears. Every second that ticks away now leans further and further toward the Drop Bears picking up a victory on this map. Order have got the hole-in-one combo. They've got the Transcendence here as well. They've got a lot of big ults to use in this fight, but it doesn't seem to matter how many they actually have. Pushing into point B here on Hanamura, they haven't had much success at all.
Jordation maybe feeling a little bit pressure here. Has that Graviton Surge available once again. Looking for a big one. Looking for something that's going to change the game. Order with 3 ultimates. The Sydney Drop Bears with 4. They're going to throw out CKM's right there. He's sitting on the Brigitte. Again, it does not have the impact. It's going to get eaten up by the D.Va. This is not the result that Jordation needed, not the result that Order needed. CKM and Chrono Dota both caught out there as well. They are running out of time. Shoyo brings it back. Haas caught on the ground, sound barrier used by Order. They need to make something here. They need to win this fight.
They are winning this fight, Ben, but are they winning it hard enough? That is the question. Chrono back over onto the Wrecking Ball, trying to cause some havoc. CKM now onto the Doomfist, just trying to stagger on that point, trying to buy as much time as possible. There's going to be another 5 or 10 seconds trying to deal with Chrono, and that's going to allow Shoyo and Bertlog to get back on the point.
Yeah, the spawn advantage obviously very strong here for the defensive team. The Drop Bears eating up as much time on the clock as they humanly can. Jordation throws out a grab. This one's going to catch them up in the side. Now very difficult for the Drop Bears to get onto the point. And finally, Order are successful here on attack. They do it with time on the clock, but the question is, how much?
Yeah, not enough. I don't know if it is. I mean, 2.5 still on the clock there for Sydney Drop Bears. I think Order was below a minute, so both of them will get propped up by whatever the remainder was for Order, -1 minute. I think things, you know, like for Jordation, he maybe is starting to get into his own head a little bit here with these grabs. It's like the majority of the grabs that he actually uses now are being eaten by Shoyo. It seems like there's some sort of blocker there that's not working for him. Shoyo's absolutely got him on lockdown, and that's where you start to think like, what am I doing? Like, when can I even throw a grab?
Yeah.
Like, Shoyo seems to always be there, always be ready.
And it's not something you necessarily expect all the time. You can, to be fair, anticipate that not every single grab is going to be successful. Some of them will get removed by the defense matrix. The problem is right now, we're looking at like 75% that are not being used correctly.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight on his shoulders. To be fair, I mean, he's been charging a lot of grabs.
Well, that's the other thing, right?
It's
He's
like,
getting them so very quickly.
We've got a lot of them.
Yeah.
But they're not all really paying off. Well, Sydney Drop Bears, 1:43 is the advantage for them. They'll start on defense. Once again, no funny business. It's a standard Winston Goats defense.
Yeah, we'll see how this one plays out. The Drop Bears definitely in a prime position. Yuki going to take a look and see what he can find. Swaps back across to the Brigitte. No surprises there. Down to 50 seconds now. That time has been used up. Quats going to be out in front. How's this going to play? Straight into the room they go. Chrono doesn't want to get too far in. If you get in there with the Winston, you're going to run out of heals. Order going to take the high ground, walking through. This leaves them really, Jordan, with only one fight if this goes too long.
You're not wrong, Ben. At the moment, it's not going right for Order. They're not being able to find any picks. Shoyo goes low, but he'll be healed up relatively quickly. At the very least, Order now on the point.
Yeah, this is a good start. That's what they need to do. They're going to be happy with at least 1/3, continuing to push on. Haas was at 100% energy before. They're now going to need
Haas nearly has grab.
There we go. Graviton Surge about ready to come out. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but Shoyo only loses the mech. Haas is found too, as we said. So much damage on this Zarya in particular. Grab is successful. They'll catch them out. Looking for 2. They do hit 66% here, Jordan, but they will not be able to get any further.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised, honestly, that a 66 even comes up there for Order. It looked like a complete clean hold for Sydney Drop Bears, but I don't know, 66%. I think in this case right now, Order will probably take that because that really looked like it was almost a 0% for Order. So at least it's something to defend. At least it doesn't mean we're going to be locked into a draw. Best case scenario for Order. The map is still winnable.
It is, but it's going to be tough. To be fair, the Drop Bears did struggle against Heist in this very same matchup. They struggled against Order. Again here when they went to Doomfist, the question is, are we going to see May?
Well, that's a big question, isn't it? I think if you're Sydney Drop Bears at this point, like, why not? I guess you could argue you can maybe take the Doomfist for 1 or 2 fights, then you're still going to have time to swap over to the May if things aren't working. If that's the strategy that you want to go for, that's the strategy you've prepared and practiced, go with the initial strategy, see if it works. You have that luxury at the very least for Sydney Drop Bears, which is not something that Order had. Sydney Drop Bears, it seems like they're discussing things a little bit here. They're saying, hey, what do we actually want to run?
You're not going to trick us, Drop Bears. We're waiting till you run out of spawn. That's the point where we decide to talk about what you're playing. Right now, though, the pressure is on Order. They seem to struggle when they've been ahead. Now they're a little bit behind here, potentially. Is this where maybe they can find themselves in a bit of a better position. It's definitely a tough place to be in. What's the play going to be? We're waiting.
It's going to be Tracer and
my,
Widow.
What is this? What is this? I've been baited.
We're going to see if it's, I mean, it's dive comp, really, for Sydney Drop Bears. They're going to try and find some picks here. CKM, if he even hits one headshot, that's really all they need. If Merritt goes down there, that's the round pretty much over for Sydney Drop Bears, and they are going to win the map. But for now, not being able to find any picks, still looking. But with 2 minutes on the clock, you have to think inevitably he finds something. Or the pulse is built up by Hust and he gets something.
Hust lurking in the back line, building up this charge as quickly as possible. CKM now on the high ground as well. The question is who goes down first. Can they actually do enough damage? Shoyo will find Merritt. That's a huge pick. Quats goes down as well. The Drop Bears bringing out this unconventional team comp, at least for Season 3. And they are going to find themselves a victory here on Hanamura.
Definitely looks like it at the moment. There's only a few remaining Order players left, and unless Jordation goes absolutely massive, it's going to be done. Sydney Drop Bears, they're pleased with that one, and they'll go up 2-1, and that is now a bit of a spanner in the works for Order. Sydney Drop Bears showing their hand a little bit. They've shown that they've got something else to fall back on, something else to throw against Order, and it's worked magnificently.
Well, they did more than dig into the pocket. They went down and checked what was in the bottom of their shoe. They tipped it out, and what came out, that was something crazy.
It was a solid bar of gold, and that's what Noxious was talking about. He said they had something waiting that they were still yet to show. Nobody had seen this before. We had questions. What does this team look like when we start getting pushed to shove? Is the time back then? Something different comes through. You see the Trace, you see the Widowmaker Ben. You said, is this like a bait? It isn't a bait. Or maybe it is, because Order, they got reeled up.
They certainly did, Pixie. That was quite incredible.
I really liked how that played out as well. You kind of force the goats to not just sit at that hold. You get that bit of displacement out of the Wrecking Ball. You've got a lot of sightline pressure. Suddenly you're back in the situation. Like, you're back in metas where teams didn't hold at that choke, and the reason is you've got that sightline pressure. That's not been a factor in goats, and it clearly caught Order off guard. They were like, oh, we can't do that anymore. I guess we'll go hold on the point, but how do we deal with this? Tracer's wrapping around the side. We've still got the Wrecking Ball diving in. Every time we turn around, CKM is going to look for a shot. Can we always defend against that? And it just becomes too much to keep on top of for Order.
Particularly when that Wrecking Ball is spinning round and round and round right in your face. You've got a Tracer behind you as well. Jordan RQT said, look, if we push CKM onto May, we're going to win. They pushed him onto May. They pushed him onto Widow, and in the end, he came out on top.
Yeah, they didn't win, and I mean, for Sydney Drop Bears, that's kind of quintessential counter Goats playstyle. What you want to try to do is you get those DPS, you get the multifaceted threats that come from multiple angles. You need to split the Sydney Drop Bears' attention, because Goats works when you're focusing on one thing, but it doesn't work when you have to deal with high ground, when you have to deal with players behind you, when you have to deal with players on top of you. It's not able to diversify itself enough to be able to deal with all of those threats. That's exactly what Sydney Drop Bears were able to do. They had CKM on the front, they had the Tracer in the back, they had the Wrecking Ball in the middle, and then the rest of the dive follows up on that.
And now you have a situation where you're starting to see the exact width of CKM's hero pool. We don't even know if it ends here. If you thought the Doomfist was it, then that was just phase 1 of a raid boss. You're starting to now see what the extra forms can actually come through. We're not seeing the Doomfist as much. He's choosing specifically to not play the Doomfist anymore. So now, what are they going to do? What has Sydney Drop Bears still got to play? And the better question is, how does Order actually handle that? Because now we're seeing a case where RQ2 thought if the May comes out, we win. Not the case. The May will actually won for the Sydney Drop Bears. And now suddenly, other things happening. And by the way, Hus also changing onto other picks. That's a second factor to deal with.
And that's why I called these two DPSs the workhorse DPSs, right? Like, it's the depth and breadth of the hero pools. It's their ability to play just about everything you would conceivably need out of a DPS, even in the GOATS meta. And for all the compliment I gave Jordation for his Zarya play over Hus, Hus's Zarya play is exceptional as it is as well. And when they needed it most, it was there.
Well, this is where we're seeing now the variety and what we talked about from the two DPS players really coming into effect. That was kind of, I thought, the win condition for Sydney Drop Bears over Order. Obviously, Order have a really strong tank line. We've seen Quads being quite a dominant force in this, but he's getting shut down now. We're starting to see a lot of variety, a lot of changes coming out from Sydney Drop Bears. And you've got to think now for RQT and for Order and for everyone thinking toward the future now for these guys. What could we possibly be facing? We've seen we've seen Tracer, we've seen Widow, we've seen May, we've seen Doomfist out from these guys. We've seen Genji throughout the season. We've seen Sombra, we've seen Farah. These are all in the back pocket for Sydney Drop Bears if push comes to shove. So there are so many things that Order need to be prepared for, and they just don't know what's coming.
You can't plan and prepare for the unplannable, right? That's the reality here. So we're heading on to map number 4. This one is going to be Orders. Pick, let's go and take a look at what it is going to be. Route 66, Jordan.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts,
I mean,
mate?
really, who's surprised at this point? It's literally been Route 66 throughout the entire season.
Yeah, it has.
Sydney Drop Bears still have not played Dorado at all this season. An Order at least did play one round of Dorado, and they won that. But both teams undefeated so far on Route 66. So again, it's the same sort of a scenario as going into Hanamura. Both teams are very, very good on this particular map. Again, looking at Route 66 as to how the map plays out. Really interested to see what Sydney Drop Bears are going to throw at us here, because this is a map where you can really diversify your team compositions on.
AVRL, for me, a lot of the talk has been about, look, what you want to do is force the team back onto goats or off goats or whatever it may be. If you can't force the Drop Bears to go goats v goats, if you force them off, they just play something entirely out of this world. How do you deal with that?
Well, I actually think this is the kind of map where maybe Order can take the flexibility into their own hands. We've seen Jordation bring up the Widowmakers before, specifically on this map. So if you have a case where, as we commonly see across many regions, teams, especially onto A, want to play DPSs, Jordation, and by extension possibly Yuki as well, can go onto their own DPSs to match that.
Look, we've seen like triple DPS versus quad DPS on this match before. Like when we say teams want to play DPS, like almost like they're so itching for it. And like you said, Yuki and Jordation both being incredible DPS players, it's like, I bet you they're going to be itching to pull it out if they get the shot.
Look, to be fair, if we've even had really cool team comps on Assault, now that we're moving across to Payload, this is everyone's time to shine. This is the time to pull something out of the bag, something we have not seen. And I'm very interested to see how it plays out. Elfishguy, it's the Drop Bears up against Order right now. The Drop Bears could come through the end of this map and be one away from victory.
Yeah, absolutely. We're at 2-1 right now for Sydney Drop Bears. I mean, they're not quite there yet. They're halfway there, right? But it's again started to feel like a bit of a swing back in the favor of Sydney Drop Bears. Before Hanamura, we were saying the series felt like it was favoring Order. Well, now you can't question that it's definitely looking like it's favoring Sydney Drop Bears. And here is that quad DPS setup with the Ash as well, mind you, replacing the Soldier that we would be used to seeing. Very excited to see how this one actually turns out. I'm a big fan of Ash, and Order, how are they going to deal with this?
Look, Jordan, to be fair, if you're going to play Ash anywhere, it may as well be on Route 66. This is her home ground. Let's see how it plays out. A Kraken going to be taking that one. Quat's going to go down. Unter's gone down as well. It seems to be 1-for-1 trades, but of course, the Drop Bears with the spawn advantage, they will take 1-for-1s any day of the week.
Yeah, the way that this team comp is supposed to work, again, is supposed to be you surround your opponent, you force them to deal with multiple angles, and the Goats comp is not good at doing that. The Goats comp is not good at taking high ground. The Goats comp can't deal with the Farah Mercy. This is going to force the swap from Order, and now Sydney Drop Bears have the luxury of, if they want to, they can swap back off onto the Goats, give themselves that massive advantage, that massive tempo swing when it comes to the ult economy. This has worked perfectly for Sydney Drop Bears. You couldn't have asked for much more, Ben.
That's exactly what they wanted to do, and they have been able to achieve it. Now, if Order do swap back, as we know, the Drop Bears should have that ultimate advantage as well. And the Payload pushes on through. The question is, where will Order decide to fight it?
The thing is, Order actually swapped back off before a fight even started, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here. Sydney Drop Bears,
close but no cigar, Elfishguy.
Yeah. But they've at least forced that swap. They're getting into the minds of Order.
It is kind of tricky as well, almost getting baited into it, but this fight's going to be the crucial one. Now we have Goats v Goats in kind of neutral ground right now. CKM quite low, stays alive, pushing on in. It's actually Merit who's going to take a little bit of damage very close to Trance. Adam has a self-destruct as well. The Drop Bears, they have that ultimate disadvantage in this scenario. Self-destruct going to come through. Chrono Dota already down. Yuki finds CKM as well. Order now. They found themselves a good position. What do the Drop Bears do here?
Well, do we swap back onto the quad DPS? That seemed like it was working before. Goats definitely doesn't seem like it's working right now for Sydney Drop Bears, but looks like they're going to be content to continue this. They know that they've used the self-destruct up from Order. They have that advantage at the very least, that theirs is coming up a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
Sydney Drop Bears across the board. 6 ultimates should come up, if not in this fight, then in the next.
It's the bait into the bait into the bait, Jordan. The double bait, but right now, Order going to find themselves with the advantage, and the Drop Bears going to need to find themselves a kill or two and get this payload moving. Only 90 seconds now on the clock, and things are not working in their favor. Unta, Merit, Quats, all with ultimates to work with. Huss and Bertlog now finally with some for the drop bears. Sound barrier going to be used. A very aggressive one at that. Trance is popped by Merit. Graviton Surge up on top from Jordation. No, sorry, Jordation's actually going to go down there to show you. It was Huss who threw out his. The drop bears, look, they're here, but the payload's not moving.
Yeah, they're starting to win this fight, though. As you can see, Adam goes low. Quartz is getting really low. Does get healed up by the armor pack, but Shoyo finishes him off. The janitorial duties going the way of the Diva. And Sydney drop bears, they do win the fight. Order have allowed that fight to go over, but there's enough time for Order to get back for one more defense until we'll be able to speed boost them in. So this point not over just yet. Point A, not Sydney drop bears.
The drop bears have used a lot of time on their first attack, Jordan. You can see Order pushing out. The grab going to come through onto the point, trying to suck in anyone who is there. The self-destruct actually used by Shoyo. Not going to find the kills. One over the top. There we go. No picks there either. Looking for Chrono Dota, looking at Chrono Dota and that Earth Shatter, trying to push their way through. Quantz has one of his own.
Oh, that
Merit with Trance as well. Is this the time?
Oh,
Can
that
Order
was beautiful.
hold?
What a transcendence out from Merit. Pulled them in, baited them hook, line, and sinker. The Sydney drop bears saw their opportunity, and then Merit says, no, thank you very much. Everyone's going to be full HP. That was something of beauty and Order. They're going to be able to hold on to point A on Route 66.
What an incredible result here coming out from Order. Look, to be fair, literally everyone has said, if you can get the drop bears to play standard goats versus Order standard goats, the drop bears probably shouldn't win it. And they probably didn't expect to be playing goats v goats after they swapped off.
No, I think they were expecting to play goats against the counter goats or against the counter quad DPS, in a sense, which is, I mean, it's a bit of a mind game, isn't it? But in the end, Order read the situation perfectly. They swap off really quickly. They don't waste any time on those two DPS picks. And Order's just looking really, really good on that the GOATS composition, just in general, the way that they play against Sydney drop bears, the way that they bait them in, the effectiveness out of their ult usage. I was going to commend Sydney drop bears on being able to soak up so many resources with Shoyo. You know, he was sitting in that grab that everyone was throwing everything at Shoyo and he still survived. But in the end, Order just had, you know, one more trick in their back pocket. The Merit Transcendence from Order turned the tables.
It really did look like the drop bears should be able to win that last fight as well. Looked like they were going to get the payload through to the first objective. That was not the case. Now, Order do not need to do much. The bar is not set very high here on Route 66. If they come away with a victory, and what would be a very quick victory, we've now evened up at 2 apiece. Still, both teams will be a whole 2 map wins away from victory here. We thought it was going to be close, Jordan. This is a very close match.
Well, how close is it going to be? Is Order just going to smash away with Route 66 and then we're back to square one at 2 apiece?
Yeah. Well, the maps, it feels like the maps that the drop bears win are true fights, whilst the maps where Order seems to come out on top are really very one-sided.
Well, let's not count our chickens before they hatch. Order haven't won this map yet.
Yeah,
if they do, I would agree. There's still a chance for Sydney drop bears here.
Order looking to find that first pick, but it's going to be a Kraken onto Adam and actually Merit there. So 3 nice picks, or two and a D-Mech, I suppose, coming out here. Huss follows it up finally there on to Adam. Order going to have to regroup, reset. What are the picks going to look like? Is Chrono swapping across?
No, Chrono will go over onto the Reinhardt. This is pretty standard fare out from both teams. Lots of damage there for a Kraken. Helps to build up the Transcendence. Merit's at 30%. A Kraken has been doing so much damage. He's up to 94, Ben.
Yeah, he's done a pretty good job, but now we're going to see standard goats up against
standard
goats. The Trance going to get popped. Chrono Dota very aggressive, but it's Shoyo actually who gets D-Mech. Quat still strong. Grab comes out from the drop bears. Husk, 100% energy as well. Kraken and Chrono Dota both followed through. Another good hold from the drop bears.
Yeah, drop bears doing what they need to do. They're rotating through their ultimates. They're not investing too much. They're winning the fights relatively cleanly.
Yeah.
Order have built up pretty much all 6 now, though. So this is where the going really gets tough for Sydney drop bears. Bertlog, such a key factor now for Sydney drop bears. The sound barrier to keep Sydney drop bears alive through whatever Order throws at them. I think Sydney drop bears still need to be playing on the offensive. They need to be playing proactively. They need to make sure they use their ults before Order can use their own.
Rally now pop for both sides as well. Order's going to be sitting strong with 5 ultimates available. Jordation does not miss the grab this time around.
Nice down
Lots of
barrier.
shields across the board here for the
Nice
Drop
shatter.
Bears. Big Earth Shatter as well. Order laid out on the ground. Quats picked up by Shoyo. The Drop Bears throwing quite a bit in, but Order has used everything.
That was perfect from Sydney Drop Bears. Their counter usage of ultimates totally cancelling out what Order tries to do there. The grab self-destruct combo shut down by the sound barrier from Bertlog, which also he held on to for as long as he possibly could, so that it lasted as long as it possibly could. Then the Earth Shatter down from Quads, countered out by Chrono's own. Great stuff from Sydney Drop Bears. They're looking strong right now on Route 66.
Yeah, 1:30 on the clock, 90 seconds to work with. Graviton Surge is used. The Drop Bears need to follow up with a lot of damage. Utter's gone down. Adam finds Chrono transpop by a Kraken, but not enough, or not quick enough, should I say, to save the Reinhardt. Again, 1-for-1 picks will favour the attackers, but it's not 1-for-1 picks right now. It's the Drop Bears getting the majority of the kills.
And again, we're just cycling through those ultimates for Sydney Drop Bears. They're going to back away just a little bit. They know that they really only need to win 1 or 2 more fights here. Earth Shatter now for Sydney Drop Bears will be, once again, a key ultimate. Order, they have to charge all of their ultimates up, so right now I think you actually favour Sydney Drop Bears here for the moment.
You have to at this point. Even though they did not get far in attack, they have been amazing on defense. Armor now coming out from CKM. The rally is used. Chrono throws out an Earth Shatter, finds Yuki, but it won't do much other than that. They're going to sit in the middle of the grab, and Chrono finally going to go down there to Jordation. You need to see Order now follow this up with more kills, and if they get those kills, what does that look like? Do the Drop Bears get one more defense?
Yes, they do, and this is really good for Sydney Drop Bears. Look at how much Order had to use to actually win that fight. Transcendence and Graviton Surge, the 2 most important ultimates in the GOATS composition, being used there by Order to give themselves the chance to win the map. Look at what Sydney Drop Bears have got though. 2 support ultimates, that's huge. Graviton Surge out for Husk. Rally going to be coming up for CKM. The only one that's missing an ultimate is Chrono, and Sydney Drop Bears, this is their chance to now get 1 map away from a victory in Season 3.
1 fight remains here on Route 66, and it is an absolute huge one. Earth Shatter comes through, not successful. Self-destruct over the top for the Drop Bears, looking to find the picks. They find Quads, that is huge. Order retaliate, looking for one of their own. Trans is popped. This could be enough here for a crack, in the Drop Bears in prime position. Under and Adam on the payload. They're into overtime. Jordation pushes through as well. He's going to get found out. Adam almost getting demexed. Yuki in there. Hunter's still doing what he can. He's about to go down. The Sydney Drop Bears looking to me like they are going to hold even better than Order did here on Route 66.
Yeah, Quads with a last-ditch effort on the Wrecking Ball, but he will fade away, and so too will the map. Order drop. Even despite a phenomenal defensive side, Sydney Drop Bears go one better, as they have throughout this series thus far. And now it's 3-1. Sydney Drop Bears 1 map away from a victory in Season 3.
Jordan, you said don't count your chickens before they hatch. To be perfectly honest, I'd sold mine on eBay. But gentlemen, what an absolute cracker of a match. I cannot believe that both teams were held before the first point.
I'm holding on to my chickens tight right now, Ben, and I got to say, there's a big problem being presented in what we just saw on Route 66. It's one thing to say, okay, we'll force the composition to change. We will get Sydney Drop Bears back on a classic mirror here. We're going to full hold them onto A. Fantastic. But then on the flip side, suddenly we're in a position where look at that A defense from Sydney Drop Bears. That was fantastic. They got a better defense than Order did. And now you're in a position where you also have to start thinking, can we still beat them in that mirror? Because we just lost.
Pixie, I want you to clarify something for me, because I'm confused. I'm told that the Drop Bears are not as good against Order on traditional GOATs, and we just saw in a situation where the Drop Bears are on defense, in a situation where Order has the spawn advantage, for some reason the Drop Bears still full hold.
I think a lot of this is starting to come down to a bit of discipline, actually. There's 2 particular things I want to talk about. The first is ult discipline. We've highlighted it a couple of times for Order. There's a few little things here and there. I don't like using the word mistakes. It feels like you're discrediting them too much, but there are times like, you know that Hustler's got a grab, you can see him up on the roof of Big Earls, you know what they're looking to do, and then you throw out an Earth Shatter. What's going on there? What's the plan? Even if you connect, you can't follow up, you're stuck in a grab. It's little things like that. There's a second kind of discipline, and this was very peculiar. This was the first emergence we saw of this from Order, and that was in their overall positioning and choosing. They've actually been incredibly good at forcing ground We saw them on that initial attack. They got they lost a couple of members, but they got a very crucial pick on Chrono Dota. And then they tried to press an advantage that they didn't have. They only had about 3 or 4 members up. They moved forward quite far. If they'd held back, if they'd topped off those members, waited for respawns, they would have been in a 6 versus 5. They would have broken that defense with 3 minutes left on the clock. They could have pushed it through potentially. Instead, they had to do that, make that same mistake a second time, and then finally pull one out of the bag to get the payload going.
Jordan, the thing for me is that when Order were on attack, they were pushing through. They'd managed to save up their ultimates. They had like 5.5 in the pocket. On the flip side, the Drop Bears only had a few to work with, and by the end of that fight, everyone was even.
Yeah, this is what Pixie's talking about. The utility, the advantages that you're able to get out of the ultimates aren't necessarily being realized in a sense by Order. The value that Sydney Drop Bears are able to get out of their ultimates is so much higher than what Order is being able to do at the moment. I think in particular the 2 supports right now for Sydney Drop Bears are having a phenomenal time in comparison to what's coming out from Order. You know, we've seen on Hanamura 2 ultimates out from the supports at the same time. We've seen ults that maybe have been thrown out a little bit early or a little bit too late. But as far as Sydney Drop Bears support ults are concerned, they have been perfect across the board.
Well, Jordan, we are ever closer here potentially to finding ourselves a Season 3 champion. Let's go and take a look at what the next map will be. Busan, we're heading back across to Control. AVRL, what are your thoughts?
I'm thinking this is another potential map for CKM to bring the Doomfist out again, or even potentially the May. I look at Mecha Base or something like that. And I'm also now considering, I don't know if Sydney Drop Bears playing Goats is necessarily a big enough advantage for Order Nor. That Route 66 map has just kind of changed that opinion quite a bit now. It's up to Order to disprove that and say, no, we are the stronger Goats team.
Pixie?
I think Huss heard me, right? I think Huss heard me when I talked about Jordation and Zaya playing. He's like, I'll show you ultimate advantages. I mean, again, I want to go back to this, how good the DPSs are for Drop Bears right now. And I agree with AVRL. It's going to be a similar story here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Overwatch Contenders Australia Season 3 Grand Finals. Right now, it's the Sydney Drop Bears up against Order. And the Sydney Drop Bears are 1 map win away from winning 3 Contenders championships in a row. Jordan, that would be an incredible result.
Yeah, I mean, across the entire year, Sydney Drop Bears have been such a sight to behold, and they want to equalize what Fusion University were able to do earlier on in this week, make it 3 from 3, and it's definitely within the grasp now for Sydney Drop Bears. It almost feels like we're getting to that point where it's a formality for Order. They need to prove us wrong. They need to turn this around here and now.
Order came in confident. They need to back that up. They need to win Busan. It's been so very close, but to be honest, Route 66 was definitely a surprising result. We'll see traditional Goats up against, well, traditional Goats here. They said that Order was better at it, but the Drop Bears seem to be just that little bit better at using their ultimate charge, and they're going to start this one off on the point.
And it's so important as well on Control maps to get that first fight win. The snowball effect is more impactful on Control because there's less time to catch up for Order. So already the scale starting to tip towards Sydney Drop Bears here on Busan.
Looking to find the first pick, though, essentially gifted this one. Order pushes back on Adam, about to be demeched if he's not careful. There we go, that one coming out from Shoyo. Huss up on 90% energy as well. The rest of the team will follow through. The Drop Bears now sitting on 3, almost 6 ultimates.
There goes Merritt as well, just slamming into the wall. His former teammate Chrono showing absolutely no mercy. Sydney Drop Bears, 6 ultimates coming up in this next fight. Order, their backs are against the wall. They're getting staggered as well. Adam, he just can't do anything about it, and that's going to be another 10 seconds that Order will have to sit around in spawn and waste as that timer, as that percentage is ticking up for Sydney Drop Bears.
Look, Pixie was talking about how these teams use their ultimates, how they cycle through them, how they manage to save the ones they don't need. And this is going to be a crucial fight for both these teams. The Drop Bears sitting up on top right now. Order going to be finding ultimates of their own very, very shortly. The question is, how do they use them? Order throws theirs out first. Quats again, the first one down. That coming out from Chrono. Both support ultimates used here by the Drop Bears. Both support ultimates still available, though, for Order. They not necessarily are happy to take the loss there on that fight, but they will take it and they'll regroup.
That's still pretty good timing, even for Sydney Drop Bears. If they lose this next fight, they're going to have the support ultimate advantage when push comes to shove. When Order is in their at the deficit. Sydney Drop Bears just comes back in, having charged their second rotation of support ultimates, caps the point back, and wins the map from there. So great usage by Sydney Drop Bears. Grab here from Huss. This could be big.
No,
it got Eden though.
Gets Eden, throws it into the ground, but it does not matter. Adam coming through with the right click, too strong there with the defense matrix. Self-destruct going to come through from Adam. Will find, actually it's Shoyo who finds Adam even. That's even better for the Drop Bears. Clearly, Chrono throws out his, unsuccessful. The picks going in Order's favor at 99%. They will manage to bring it back, at least for now.
Well, the one saving grace there for Order is that Unted did not have to invest that sound barrier into the fight. They're also going to get a nice bit of a stagger there onto Huss as well.
Yeah.
Buy some more time, which they so desperately need. And now it's time for Order to do what was done to them on Ilios. Come back from that 99-0, come back and win the round and really put Sydney Drop Bears back under the pressure. Because right now, Sydney Drop Bears, they're still the one that are dictating the proceedings.
Yeah, the Drop Bears looking strong. It's Order's game to bring back right now. They do have the advantage when it comes to ultimate charge. What can they do? Grab thrown out, will capture. Out Chrono, Dota. Trans is popped by a Kraken as well. Soundberry going to come out for Order. They need to win this fight. They cannot afford to lose. Still 6 players alive on either side. Order now up to 42%. Looking for more. They need to get this up. They cannot lose a single fight in this particular matchup.
All it takes is one fight here for Sydney Drop Bears, and look at what they have going into this one. The grab, self-destruct combo. They have the sound barrier. They have the earth shatter. Surely this is Sydney Drop Bears' fight to win.
Drop Bear's going to be pushed through. Graviton Surge used by Order. Quant still holding onto his Earth Shatter. Throws it out. Great Earth Shatter. And the sound barrier will come out from Bertlock, but it was not quick enough to save Chrono. You'll see the rest of the team probably falls as well right now. About up to 70% are Order. The Drop Bears are running out of time. They looked like they were in control, but right now, Order is in prime position.
Yeah, Quad stepping up large in that
See ya.
fight. Shoyo.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, it can't get any worse. Shoyo, he's going to... Oh. There's nothing he can do. There is literally nothing he can do.
Oh, they finally take him down, put Shoyo out of his misery, so far away from any sort of situation where he can jump off the edge. 89, 90% right now. Graviton Surge, self-destruct coming through from Order. Is this enough to shut them down? No, they are
gonna get the touch?
unsuccessful. 95, they have 5% to get onto the point. The Drop Bears need to push through. Shoyo throws out his self-destruct as well. Does find Quad.
Oh, no!
Merrick goes down. The Drop Bears look like they might get back onto the point. Haas has the Graviton Surge. Is successful onto the ground. No one eats that one. The Drop Bears will win the fight. They'll win the round as well. And they will now be 1 round away from victory.
Huss says sorry, but I'm not so sure how sorry he really is about that one. Sydney Drop Bears. They taste the defeat, but they win. They take the victory. In Order, that has to be a heartbreaker because they almost came back. They almost did what they needed to do, but it just was not enough, and that feels like a metaphor for the entire series. Order have been so close on multiple maps, on multiple points, in multiple fights, but Sydney Drop Bears have been just that one little bit better, and now been 1 round away from the three-peat for Quats, no, for Shoyo, for Bertlog, and for a Kraken. And for Quats and Jordation, despair even.
Yeah. Well, someone's going for the three-peat, but only one team can succeed. Only one group of players can be successful. We head downtown, and the Drop Bears only need to win this. The pressure is on. What will Order do? They need to win so much in a row to keep themselves alive, to keep their hopes and dreams still strong. We're looking for the first pick.
Well, right now, Chrono getting very low. Needs to be healed up, and he'll get okay, but still being pushed. Order continuing to pressure on forward. They're not too keen on how that last map played out. They want to stamp their mark on this series. There's still fight left in Order.
There certainly is, and as they should be. If any team can take it to the Drop Bears, we've proven today that it would be Order. The question is, can they deal with the pressure? So far, it's been a tough battle for them, but they are definitely capable of bringing this back. Bertlock gets caught out. Chrono goes down. 2 good fight wins in a row from Order.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing for Sydney Drop Bears that was so good was their disengages predominantly on Hanamura and that kind of thing. But there, the disengage just a little bit slow, and they're punished for it. Order, they're not going to be caught napping in this. They know they're at that deficit. They know what they have to do to still win this series. they're not going to give up without a fight. Sydney Drop Bears cannot rest on their laurels just yet.
2 fight wins, only up to 30% now for Order. However, they do have that ultimate advantage. The Sydney Drop Bears in a bit of a difficult position. They are going to have Trans available, but as does Merit. Look at this, Trans is popped. You see the grab comes through, the charge comes out, Bertlock goes down. Great work from Quads. Order follows through again, and now they are going to be sitting on 5 ultimates for the next fight. Except for that.
This is an absolute shutout right now from Order. Sydney Drop Bears cannot find an opening at all. They haven't found the opening pick. They haven't been able to get a favorable team fight at all. They're using some ultimates. They're building some ultimates. Maybe this next fight, now is finally the time where Sydney Drop Bears will start to feel like they have an opportunity, given that they do have that Graviton Surge to utilize. Order does not. There's no defensive support ultimate right now, and even then, the sound barrier, not so great for defending through the grab. This is the chance for Sydney Drop Bears.
Grab comes through. Earthshatter is also used. Self-destruct from Shoyo. Finds Jordacian and Yugi. This is the start that the Drop Bears need. They push on through. Quads goes down. Merit in a difficult position. He'll get picked up as well. Up to 80%, and finally the Drop Bears bring it back. But Order only, again, really need to win one good fight.
Yeah, but we've seen this before. Order will know this is all too familiar territory, where they got up to 99% on Ilios, on Well, and Sydney Drop Bears were able to come back and still win that round. Order cannot let the moment get ahead of them. They cannot think that this map is already done. There is still so much work to do.
They're going to try and push back onto the point. Jordacian throws out a grab. Successful. Finds them all. Into the middle they go. Trans is popped as well. Self-destruct is used.
Oh!
Big Earthshatter going to come out. Going to catch out the majority of Order as well. Merit still pops Trans. Is that too little, too late? That's the question.
I think it might be. Again, we're going to see that support ultimate come out for no real gain on the side of Order. They're going to... Well, I mean, it means they don't have it for the next fight, which is so desperate now for Order as that time starts to tick up and up and up for Sydney Drop Bears. There's at least 2 more fights here still for Order, but
yeah,
you can see their backs are against the wall. It's dire straits, mistakes starting to creep in here. Order, I don't know if they're going to be able to come back into this one.
the nerves are coming out, Jordan, to be fair, as they should be. A lot is on the line.
Where's the shatter from Quads? That's what we're looking for.
Looking for a big one. He's got the bubble. He pushes on through. Sound barrier used by Order. This is their fight to win now. Chrono about to go down. Nice work. Quads is low as well. Self-destruct comes through. The Drop Bears win another fight. Now up to 70%. Looking very good. They've got the ultimate advantage as well. They are in such a close, strong position.
One more chance now for Order. What do they have to work with? Well, of course, that Earthshatter that was not used in the last fight. There'll be a Graviton Surge here as well, and hopefully Merit can get a Transcendence across, but Sydney Drop Bears, they have ample tools to defend with. It all comes down to this one last fight.
Earthshatter comes through. I'm not sure if it finds what it needs to. Quads is low. He goes down to Huzza. Kraken has a threats available as well. They charge on through. 95%. Hunter's on the point. Can he save the day? Looking it up, we're into overtime right now. Someone needs to deal with him. So close to capturing the point. He did what he can. The rest of Order trying to follow through, but it will not be enough. The Sydney Drop Bears, the 3-peat back-to-back Overwatch Contenders Australia champions. Congratulations, undefeated here in Season 3. Unfortunately for Order, that is where their season ends, Jordan, but what a game.
Yeah, and the kings of Australian contenders once again take their throne. The dynasty continues for Shoyo, for Bertlog, for a Kraken. That's 3 in a row. Now for CKM and for Huss, undefeated in AU contenders. They've won their first season. And for Chrono, it's compensation for what occurred last season, losing 0-4 to Sydney Drop Bears in the semi-finals, now managing to take the title with them alongside them as well. And for Sydney Drop Bears as an organization, 3 in a row. The talent that this roster and this team and this organization is able to possess and to build is nothing else but amazing.
Yeah, what an absolutely incredible result coming into 2018. Who would have thought that we would have seen a team coming on top? All we talked about at the start was blank. What happens when they come back? What does this look like? How do these teams play out? But for the Drop Bears, again, with sometimes even different players, even different team comps, they somehow managed to come through as the champions time and time again. And gentlemen, to be fair, A 4-1, as close as we said these two teams would be, AVRL, that's a pretty impressive result.
It certainly is, and we said, look, I even wanted a 4-3, go to map 7. The quality of the two teams would dictate to me a map 7 is deserved. But when you look at this, it's not the 30-0, the perfect season for the drop bears, but a 4-1 is still absolutely phenomenal. And credit to Order as well. They had an incredibly good showing, an incredibly good run this entire season. Still the best team and the best showing that they've ever had. But the drop bears, like you said, cannot be denied here. History goes behind them. 3-peat. Only 2 teams in the whole history of Contenders has made a 3-peat, 3 Contenders championships. That's Fusion University in NA, and now the Sydney Drop Bears in AU.
And a weird quirk, just by the way, they can now round out with that hat trick the competitive year. And as we look forward as well, these guys are going to start to look at what's going on over there, what they'll be squaring up against if they repeat the success in additional time. Every single Pacific team, when I say Pacific, I mean the wider Pacific region, won with a 4-1 record. That's China, Korea, Pacific, and now Australia as well. And for Drop Bears to complete the hat trick, I mean, it's sheer poetry. You can't make this stuff up.
What does this 4-1 result say, Jordan? We, again, all season long, we had these two teams. We had Order. We had the Sydney Drop Bears sitting up at the top of their group. We knew that we couldn't really compare the two until we saw them come head-to-head. Would that be in the grand final? What would they look like? Does this 4-1 result surprise you?
Not necessarily. I did predict Sydney Drop Bears to win. I thought it would be closer, but I think it goes to show how much everyone has actually underestimated Sydney Drop Bears. We knew that they were good, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier on in the broadcast about, you know, we maybe say they haven't been tested throughout the season.
Yeah.
And they probably weren't. And coming into the grand final, there was that question mark. Have they really had the match practice? Have they been able to prepare themselves properly for this grand final against a tough opponent? And the answer, once again, is yes. It's the same old story. History repeats itself. 3 seasons in a row, Sydney Drop Bears come away with the victory, and quite comfortably so as well.
They certainly do. It's time now to have a chat to our champion. This particular champion has travelled all the way from North America. It's ChronoDota.
Thanks, Ben. Yes, ChronoDota. Congratulations, firstly, on winning Contenders. Your first time winning any Contenders in any region.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, of course, you did play in Australian Contenders last season. It was under a different team, Kanga Esports. And so now moving over to the Sydney Drop Bears for you, how's the transition been?
It's been really good. I feel like on Sydney Drop Bears, we have the best player in each of their roles. So I feel like we have a very strong foundation for the team, and I think we put a lot of practice. So very confident.
Now, you did drop a map, obviously, in this series. Did you expect it to be a little bit closer, though? 4-1, many did predict that Order would be able to sort of give you guys a little bit more of a run compared to some of the other teams that are here at the LAN.
Yeah, I mean, I think Order has one of the best GOATS comps, like in Australia. Like, I think they're actually very, very good at it. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think, like I said, we have the best players in each role. We put in the practice. We know how to play different comps and how to adapt on the fly. So, I mean, all in all, I think it was about the expected outcome, but every match was very, very close.
Yeah, certainly was close, obviously. Were there any moments where you felt like maybe Order were going to be able to get that leg up and maybe, you know, it was Route 66, for example, where, you know, you guys got held and then you were able to hold them. Was there some nervous moments there where they could have gone up in the series?
Honestly, I feel like every single map had nervous moments because the thing is, like, Order is a very, very good team and, like, every map was, like, incredibly close. So a lot of respect for them.
All right, thank you very much, ChronoDota. Congratulations again. We're going to throw it back over to the desk with Ben Green.
Thanks, ZeNox. Yes, some very kind words there coming out from Chrono. And to be fair, I think very deserved words as well. Order did play very well. It's not that they weren't whitewashed. It wasn't that sort of result. Every single map could have gone either way, except perhaps for Busan at the end. But by that point, it kind of felt like maybe, you know, the match was done and dusted.
And the thing is, Hollywood felt like the Order that we expected to come in, or at least more of the Order that we expected to come through. When you look at across the majority of the maps here, Ilios, let's start with that one. It went down to the fact that 0-99 was a deficit Sydney Drop Bears had to come up with to actually finish that map and get that win. You look at some of the other maps as well. Route 66, in my mind, was where that series turned on its head, because after that, a map where you seriously look at this and think Order should be winning, this is going to tie us up. Suddenly, Sydney Drop Bears get that win, go to Busan, that one feels like a formality.
And that's the incredible thing, right? Every time it felt like Order, no, this is it, this is the one. Jordation's getting like double grabs to Huss. Look at what they're able to achieve. Look at the GOATs v GOATs. the fact that every time we said that and saw that, Sydney Drop Bears still had something else, more gas in the tank, more team compositions, more je ne sais quoi. It's just enough to, again, it's the hat trick. They've got all three.
Well, we've had a pretty incredible season so far. It's been a pretty impressive 2018 of Overwatch contenders here in Australia. And all season long, we've been supported by McDonald's Australia. And as part of that, we've been enjoying our Macca's play of the game. Just one remains. Let's take a look. A McDonald's Australia play of the game for the grand final here in Season 3 between the Drop Bears and Order. Jordan, what is it?
This one was a little bit tough to pick. I'm doing my best Jordan impression here. And I ended up going with Shoyo. After filling up on the appetizer of Jordation's grabs all across the series, just when it seemed like Order were getting a second wind, boom, he gets this self-destruct. He gets the 2K. In fact, he has a full 4-course meal. And by 4-course meal, I mean he gets a third one onto Quats. He gets a fourth one at the very end of this as well. The 4 kills to come through, lands that one on merit, and that ended up being all she wrote for Busan. That was the beginning of the end.
It literally was the beginning of the end, wasn't it? It was at that point where it kind of felt like maybe Order were going to bring it back. They'd somehow managed to get this great lead here in the second round, but unfortunately, one amazing Diva self-destruct wipes it all out.
And that's the thing, it feels like one of these classic boxing matches to me where one of the competitors just has way more stamina. You get deeper and deeper into the rounds. You're getting a lot of beatings here as well. Sydney Drop Bears took a lot of big hits. Hollywood was the biggest hit of them all. That knocked them down in round 2. Come back, we go to map 5, and suddenly you start to feel Order just lose that gas, like you mentioned, just lose that oomph behind them. They're starting to run out of ideas, starting to lose that confidence, and suddenly they're lying on their back.
Like I said, Shoyo is hungry and he still had room for more.
As you should.
I hope Order aren't picking up the bill.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, it's been a pretty incredible day. Let's round this out by taking a look at our playoffs brackets. 8 teams made it through to Season 3 playoffs. 4 from Group A, 4 from Group B. The Sydney Drop Bears and Order coming through as the #1 seed in their respective groups. And to be fair, we expected that they would make it through to the grand final. Jordan, there was no real sort of anyone to stop them, I suppose, trying to make their way through. The semi-finals were relatively one-sided. The grand final, I suppose, it is a 4-1 result, but it wasn't really a 4-1.
I mean, I think you could make the argument that Order maybe could have gotten 1 or 2 more of those maps there too. You're very fair in saying so, but end of the day, a 4-1 I think really does go to show just the strength that Sydney Drop Bears did have throughout this season. I mean, they've only dropped 1 map in the entire season. That is such a phenomenal result, such a clean result.
Undefeated 1 map.
And to consider that they were so close to having a 30-0 season, I think that just sums up how strong Sydney Drop Bears have been here in Season 3. Obviously in Season 2 as well, they were much the same. Maybe you could argue coming into the season finals, we thought that they had a stronger potential to actually finish things off. But I think this season, this is probably the best Sydney Drop Bears that we've seen thus far.
Gents, before we close off the 2018 competitive season here in Australia, any final thoughts? Where are we standing as a region? How great has this been?
I mean, absolutely. It's been a fantastic year of Overwatch for Australia. This is now where you do close the book on 2018, but I cannot wait to open the book on 2019 because you have the strength of this region going from strength to strength every single season. You see Sydney Drop Bears now. I agree, the best of them that we've ever seen. Order coming up as well. Heist, Athletico. A lot of these teams that will come back in 2019 are going to do very, very good there as well. And I cannot wait to see how Australia takes it to the international competition at the Showdown.
And I think it's been so great as well to round out the competitive year in this way, to return to that same land, that same venue where it all began for the Sydney Drop Bears.
Yeah.
The one season they came in genuinely not as the favorite. We even felt like it was a bit of an upset at the time. It was a bit unprecedented to go from that to the absolute curb-stomping wins that they've had ever since then. Incredible seasons, amazing playoffs runs, and now 3 back-to-back grand finals wins. We round out this year the same way that we started it, and I've got to echo what you said there. It just makes me all the more excited for the rest of 2019.
Jordan?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, it's been fantastic to see the storylines that have sort of developed throughout the seasons of AU Contenders, particularly following teams like Sydney Drop Bears, teams like Order, all the way from back when they were blank blue. You know, seems like a long time ago to think where they were, but by and large, that's the team that has progressed on to now where we are with Order. So it's been quite a storyline. It's been quite a journey through to Season 3, and I think for me, the key thing about next year, 2019, is those international events. Very excited to see how the Australian teams are going to be able to go internationally outside of a World Cup kind of a scenario.
Well, Jordan, AVRL, and Pixie, thank you very much for your help today. Thank you to ZeNox and Genome for helping us across the season. Thanks to all our competitors, everyone watching along at home, and everyone, of course, in the production team here today. It's been a fantastic 2018 competitive season of Overwatch Contenders here in Australia. A three-peat for the Sydney Drop Bears. What an incredible result. I cannot wait to 2019 seasons. It's going to be amazing. We'll see you then.